Testing. Testing. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. So bottom left where it says mute.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm used to using Zoom and it was all there, but it's not. I don't know. Anyway, we got there.
And we are away.
You nearly had a self-interview then. There you go.
Technology. I tell you what, I could talk to myself. I could keep it going and just reminisce and talk about myself, and then just have you sitting there just nodding and going,
just be
yes.
like, yeah. You could be like, do whatever, and here we go. All good.
Isn't it crazy though? This is the world that we live in. The world of Zooms and podcasts. It's been the thing of 2020. Everybody wants to have a podcast and the Zoom. You've got your own podcast at the moment. Starting
soon, very soon. It was actually meant to start during COVID, and then I went, no, we'll just park it. Yeah, happening in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, they're
so much fun. They're great. They're great when you can figure out how to work it all. So Simone Mathews, tell me, how's your day been? What have you been up to? What's a day in the life of Simone Mathews look like on a Tuesday?
Tuesday? Is it even Tuesday? My God.
I know. It's not only Tuesday, it's bloody September.
It's the 1st of September, isn't it? It's the first day of spring.
We're in spring. Usually you're really excited because it's spring, but now you're like, are you kidding me? We're already at spring. How did that even happen?
I know. I'm like, it's crazy. But I do remember it's Father's Day still on tomorrow at school. So I've got to remember that.
It's Father's Day, not tomorrow the 5th though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Sunday. I know. This is the good thing. So I'm sidetracking, but I'm the mother of 4 boys. And so the school sends home like the Father's Day stall stand. So it's the best way to remember, right? It's Father's Day on the weekend. So that's what I call like multitasking. But
I'm about to be a dad. So I'm about to join the dad club to a little boy my phone's on. If you see me running halfway through the podcast.
That's fine.
The due date was Sunday. So we're any day now.
Oh, that's so exciting. And this is your first?
This is our first. So...
Oh, wow. Well, you should just not talk to me because I have 4. So I always say to people, if you want to have children, don't talk to me because I'm probably... No.
Don't do it. There's still time.
No, you know what? I've got 4. So that's why I say to people, if, when they're like, oh, it's so hard, it's this, should I have a child? I'm like, I've done it 4 times. So if I can do it, anyone can.
4 boys, that is like the ultimate for... Are you going to keep going until you get a grip? That's it now. No, right.
We'd stopped at 3. 3 was more than enough, and we've got 4. So yeah, let's just say we've got our own little football team, or could say our own little building team here. So
no. You've got the construction workers ready to go. So
exactly.
it's a good way to streamline hiring. Just create stuff.
Don't even joke, because during COVID, we were building our latest project and we ended up moving down there to our other property. So we were literally next door and the boys were getting homeschooled. So I actually rang the school and said, that's it. We're not handing in any more schoolwork. And they came and worked on the building site. They insulated the 2-story property, the 3 older ones, with our apprentice at that time. So they built the house. It was like amazing. So that's what they learned during homeschooling. So yeah.
Look, there's a lot to take from it. I'm rereading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And talks about, the principles of school education, and then obviously bringing people up with, the rich dad, financial literacy and money principles, etc. So I say, get them to work, give them a taste of the real world.
It was good. It was good because our eldest, he's 15. So he's almost the end of year 9. And he kept saying he was going to leave and he'll go be a builder like dad. And we're like, nah, you've got no interest. He just thought it was the easy way. And then after coming and working, he goes, I'm going to year 12. I am not being a builder. And we were like, we knew that. We're like, there's 2 of them who are definitely tradies in there, but he learned also. It was the best work experience
That's
ever.
So good. That's the best way. Get him out there. We had a mate growing up that left in year 9 or year 10 and became a tradie with his dad. And his dad said, if you leave, you're not going back to school. And he reckons, 2 weeks in of waking up at 4:30 in the morning, driving an hour and lifting big. He's also built a building, carrying big planks of wood in the rain. He was like, I was over it. But the light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the first year of his apprenticeship, he got like this secondhand ute that he couldn't drive until you're 10. But we were just like, whoa, man, being a tradie is so cool. This is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're all working at grocery stores, IGAs or Woolworths. And we're like, how can you even afford a ute? That's good. So you're pushing him. He's back to school.
Yeah, no, he's back at school. He doesn't want to leave. And then the other ones, because my boys are in year 9, year 7, year 5, and year 1. So they're stretched across.
The big range, yeah.
Yeah, so we're like the middle ones. Or actually, Archie's in year 7. He wants to be an architect. I'm like, yep, I'll take that. Thank you.
Yes.
And then Tully wants to be a builder or a policeman and colours. He's got time to work it out. So we've got a couple of tradies in there for sure.
How young is the youngest that wants to be a policeman? How old is he?
He's 11, and he's wanted to be a policeman since he was day dot.
Oh, has he? Has he really?
Yeah, he's just done a speech at school today about why being a policeman is the right career for everyone. And he knows every bit of detail. Again, in lockdown, he was on YouTube the whole time learning all the tactics and all the moves of the police. I'm like, oh my goodness. He'll be that type of policeman that if you're going 71 kilometers, you'll get a ticket no matter what. Like he's like that kind of person.
License and registration. We've got our media guru, and he's going to kill me for saying this, Zeke. He's in the SES, and he's just about to become a policeman, but he's the same. If he sees a dead roo on the side of the car, he'll get out, he'll pull up his pants, he'll set out cones and markers, and then he'll record, and he'll be like, this is what you do when there's roos. Like, just move the bloody roo off the road, Zeke. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
And he's like, no. And then he puts those little lights. I think it's one time he lit a flare. I'm like, move the, or just, why are you stopping? Just move the roof's on the side of the road anyway. I remember when because I was going to say we all go through that phase as young lads wanting to join the police force, and I wanted to be a sniper. And so I remember going to the police academy open day, and I was saying, I want to be a sniper. And they're like, well, for like 4 years, you are a traffic policeman or whatever it might be. I was like, well, when do you get to be a sniper? And they're like, really, never. Hopefully never. And I was like, I'll leave
onto
that.
The next thing.
I'll sell real estate.
onto that.
Yeah. Still saving lives. Saving lives.
Just in a different way.
In a different way. So typical Tuesday. What does a Tuesday look like?
I don't think there is such a thing as a typical Tuesday or a typical day in my life, like at all. Our life it's organized chaos, and other people look at it like, whoa, how do you do that? But to me, it's just the calmness. Like, we have 4 businesses, 4 children.
Wow. And
I like to say that I work 4 days. That does not happen. But there's no such thing. Like, I've been today was more of a design day. So I've been doing specs for a client's project with my junior designer. So we were heavy in computer work today. Lots of people think designers are out there shopping, sourcing.
Colours and
like that. I always say people, being a designer is, I love what I do, but 90% of the work is on the computer. So that's been that kind of day. And then I've been running around with the kids, footy training, and my husband's away at a project, so he's working down the coast at the minute. So I've just basically muzzled them in the room next door to me and said, don't you dare move. And said, here you go, here's your tech. Take your tech, there you go.
Take tech, Netflix, food, dessert.
Do whatever, just don't make a noise. But
start building. Renovate the back bathroom, which is...
We're actually living at a rental house at the moment whilst we're waiting for our forever home. So I'm like, just don't damage the walls.
Do not touch anything. So 4 kids and 4 businesses. Yeah. Before we sort of dive into anything, how do you juggle? How does that I mean, 4 kids on its own, 4 kids having a business, 4 kids having 4 businesses. And, you know, we're going to go through some of the stuff you're doing, all successful. How, when, what do you do? How do you have the time? What's your secret?
What? There is no secret. And that's where I always say to people, you know, it's amazing what we've created and we've been able to do. However, we're at the position where we're ready to, like, we've sold one of the businesses. So we're about to walk away from that one. You know, that was our plan, to build it up successfully, you know, on sell it for quite a good profit.
Great.
So we're about to be down to 3 businesses, and then we're potentially about to merge 2 together and go 2 businesses. Okay, we can do it. So you know what? There's no secret. It's just, I am someone I am very much entrepreneurial, and I'm like, I've got ideas and I implement them. Sometimes probably with not all the thought, but they always turn to fruition somehow. So there's no secret. You just need to be really passionate about what you do. And I do work a lot, but by choice. Like, I love working. I actually have to step away from work. My family like, no, mum, like, come on. So that's more my struggle to kind of get that, you know, people who say there's that work and family balance, that's bullshit. There's no such thing as balance. To me, you've got priorities. So, you know, we've got a series on at the minute. So at the minute I'm on for work. My kids, yes, they might kind of take, you know, go on the side a bit, but then things will flip really quickly, because then something will happen with the kids and family and life, and they become the priority and work goes on the backward. So I just believe it's a balancing act, but not trying to balance the 2 at the one time. That to me doesn't exist.
Pretty great for your kids as well to see you working, well, both of you working so hard. It's inspiring, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, we'll never admit it. Kids would never admit it to you, I'm sure. But you know, it would be inspiring to see mum out there kicking goals, dad out there kicking goals.
Yeah, I always say my kids will either come out thriving from this and they'll go in our footsteps and be like boom, 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 or my eldest, who I very much think this will happen, he'll buy one house, white picket fence, and will never move again and stay in one job for like 30 years. He'll be like, no. So it's either going to go one way or the other, because, you know, people can go, our life's not very stable, like from the outside, because, you know, the eldest one, Marley, again, he's turning 15 and he's had 10 houses in 15 years. So people look at that and go, whoa, like that's so unfair to your children. But I go, at the same time, my children have like got an amazing lifestyle that, you know, pre-COVID, you know, we're always traveling overseas and on holidays. Exactly. And they're a little bit spoiled, but I feel like most kids are these days, but they don't go without. And that's because of the hard work but also us constantly using property to get to the next level. And that's part of it. So they see us and they live through buying, you know, absolute piece of crap houses, moving into them or renting somewhere, creating these amazing houses, some moving into them for a very brief sort of time. And some have meant to be now forever home, but then they quickly, you know, turn into something else. Or us creating these homes and more recently sharing them as holiday properties. So these guests are having these amazing experiences while we're living in like a shitty rental. And they're like, why? And we're like, trust me, it's coming. It's worth it. So we're at the point now where we're literally like, we're ready to go, okay, forever, but forever's like 5-10 years. But we're ready to give them a bedroom before Marley actually moves out. But I feel like exactly what you said, they've seen it and they've lived through it themselves. And there's some like pros and negatives to it, but they for themselves have been able to experience it. And they want some stability now, but they've also enjoyed the ride at the same time. So,
and that's that process that they've gone through. That's pretty invaluable. Yes, changing homes every so often is, well, as a kid, it's kind of exciting. When you're doing it as a family, it's somewhat kind of exciting. Have you moved different states and different areas or just different homes?
So we started off like where we're back here now in Cronulla in southern New South Wales or Sydney. And then we moved down the coast to Gerringong, which is near Kiama area. So like it's only an hour and a half away, but feels like it's, 2 days away because it's just such a different lifestyle. So that kind of move was huge because the kids had to change schools. And then we only just came back to Sydney this year, but then COVID hit. So they went back to their old original school. But then COVID hit and we ended up, like I said earlier, back down the coast while we're in lockdown. So it's kind of feels like we're just back in Sydney now. So so we have moved different areas, not states. I'm saying to the kids, let's move to Noosa. Let's move to Byron. And they're like, no, we're not moving. And I went, okay, all right. So, yeah.
Convince him to come to Byron. Byron's beautiful. It's a great part of the world. Grow your hair long and become a hippie like the rest of us.
Yeah, I feel like Byron's my happy place. So again, I probably go to Byron like every 6 weeks for work, and just also I'll fly up for like one day, have 24 hours just of R&R to breathe and get inspired. So we thought about moving there, but at the same time I went, I don't want to ruin my happy place either.
Yeah,
it's my place to escape.
It's so true. I mean, we're pretty fortunate. Well, not fortunate. It's horrible, the circumstances and everything that's going on. But because of the border closures, Byron, where we are now, it's been quiet. So it's a very different place when there's nobody here. But just as magical, it's almost like every winter you get to know the locals a little bit more, because it's just so full. I think there's 5,000 locals or 3,000 locals, and then there's 50,000 people at any given time that are here. But it is a happy place. It's nice.
It's very similar to Gerringong, but on a smaller scale. Like I think
Gerringong,
as you drive into Gerringong, I think they say like 350 residents. It's more like 3,500.
Wow.
But it's the same thing. All the locals in winter because the tourists are gone, and then all the locals are like, get out of my town. So it's quite funny being side up watching the dynamics, but it's exactly the same thing.
It's so funny here, I'm from WA originally, and you can go to any surf break and there's local surfers and whatnot. But here you go from Byron to just say Lennox, and my goodness, it is just turf war. Piss off, you bloody Byron siders. It's like, how did you even know?
How do you pick it?
How do you pick it? But they know.
I think it must be all coastal towns. There's that little bit of.
They know. They just know. They have a radar and they have CCTV footage when anybody comes in. There's an alert that they will get on their mobile phone.
True.
So talk to me about Soule Home. Was this something that you have always wanted to do? Was this the first business that you did and that you're still doing? Talk to me.
No, it's the third business that happened.
One that you sold?
No. So the one I sold was Soule of Gerringong. So that kind of is how Soule Home came about. So no, the first business was our construction company.
Sure.
And then we've had BAM Constructions and Design for like over 20 years. So we specialized in renovating, new builds, high-end homes, developments. But then we decided to just go, you know what, we need a break. And that's how we ended up in Gerringong. Bought an old farmhouse there on like half an acre in like the heart of the town. Had no plan for this property. Just went, you know what, at that point, I think in Sydney, we had about 20 guys working for us, but we just went, let's just like pack up. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm always like, if you can deal with the worst case, let's do it and imagine what the best case is. So we packed up, went down there, and then we bought this farmhouse, restored it. And very early on, I decided I wanted to create accommodation because when we sell our own homes and developments, I know that people really love what we do. And, when we sell houses, there's always that bit of hype, but I always go, there's only one person that gets to enjoy that home. And to me, ultimately, when we're creating houses, it's the feeling that we create. And that is what people love about our work. So yes, like it looks amazing, but I'm like, it's not about that. So that's how we created Soule Gerringong, because I was like, how about we pack up our life, pack up, just do whatever and create this holiday accommodation, because then we can share what our gift is to the world in accommodation business, and all these people can come and enjoy it by staying at our accommodation. They get to, experience that holiday feeling. So that is kind of how we ended up in the holiday property market by accident with no plan. And that became really successful. And I knew nothing. I sat there going like, okay, we know how to design a house. We know how to build a house. So of course we can do this. So I was like, Googling everything, and there was seriously nothing existed on how to create like holiday property business besides a couple of, what to buy. And I was like, this is insane. So I sat there literally weaving, like, learning the ins and outs, making lots of costly mistakes, but learning it as I went. And me being an A-type personality, I went, right, I'm going to manage this property by myself with everything else. So for this first, I think it was 6 to 9 months.
Where are my kids? And kids?
That's what it was kind of like.
Entertain yourself.
Like, but it was also
Mum's taking on the world.
But it also was a bit like being on holidays, because we'd moved to this coastal town, and the thing with accommodation versus probably just being in building and design is accommodation's a feel-good industry. You have interaction. I want to go on a holiday. It's amazing. They pay their money. You send them information. They come and stay. They give you all the feedback. Oh, amazing. Where, with a build and design client who, most of our clients become really good friends. We're in a relationship with them for generally 2 to 3 years. That's it's a lot, where guests are like, oh, amazing, bye.
And everyone's happy, and it's all joyful, and you get to live in that space.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of vibe. But what happened when we opened Soule, we booked out within the first month we opened, we booked out 12 months in advance. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. I thought, oh, this must be what everyone does. And then everyone kept going, like, other holiday property businesses, because I, again, hadn't really connected in that space. People were like, how did you do it? What did you do? Wanted to know the ins and outs of everything. And I am a natural oversharer of everything. So then
Let me tell you all our secrets.
But that's what I was doing. And I was like, I just want to help people, because if I can create this lifestyle and this business, then instead of you having to, go the slow way like I did, how about I help you? So I was just like, yeah, of course I can help you. Whatever, I'll juggle my design work, my kids and this. And then I was working with an amazing PR person at the time. She's like, Simone, you need to turn this into a business. So that was the long story of how Soule Home came about, because Soule Home initially started off as a platform for, I call them HPOs, holiday property owners. I don't believe in calling them Airbnbs, because you're your own entity of a business, and you've got control. And especially COVID was the best learning curve with that, because we are on Airbnb, but we probably take 0.1% of bookings from them because we're so booked out. We actually don't use them. But anyway, sidetracking from that. But so I wanted, on Soule Home, I created an online course, an online education, and a community where literally I still do give people the handbook. I'm literally, so you're thinking about becoming a holiday property owner, to what you need to get real with. It's not all like roses and on holidays.
Pretty flowers, great cushions.
It's like amazing. You've been on holidays every day. It's like, no, but also about the type of property you need to look for, how to understand the area, your target market, right through to building, design, styling, management systems, cleaning, marketing, everything right through it. So it covers it all. It's very in depth. And it's designed for people to jump in wherever they are. So someone may be creating a holiday property. Other people maybe already have one, but want to turn it into turning over a lot more business like we do. So that's how Soule Home started. And then just recently we've transformed it into, so it's for holiday property owners, but it's also for homeowners. So I've got online education courses coming out. Two are launching the next couple of weeks. So it's starting off with styling made easy, because as much as I say to people, styling's just the end bit. You can't it's like...
It's what you want to start with, though. You want to start with the styling.
I know, and people love the styling. People just want the styling. So I was like, okay, styling course. And then we've got one coming out on... I don't teach people how to be a designer, but I teach people how to prepare for your build like a designer does. So here's all the information. Here's all the templates. Here's how you can be prepared. There you go. And then the course that I'm really looking forward to is the course on how to work with your builder. So again, it's not teaching you how to build. It's not teaching you how to rip off your builder. It's the complete opposite. It is teaching you how to understand how a builder operates. So what information you need to give them so they compare apples and apples, and what is the difference between, cost plus, fixed cost. No, they're not ripping you off. This is what it is. How you all we have a saying that we do in BAM Constructions, and this will be in the course, about how we can all be dream makers versus dream killers, because I'm sure, you know, like you go into someone's home and they're like, we're going to build our forever home and it's being designed and it's this. And we look at it straight away and go, that's $1 million build. And they're like, and we're like, so what's your budget? And they're like, no one wants to tell you that. And like, no, we are working to the same common goal here. Yes. And they go 500,000. And then that's when we go dream killer. And then, so it's educating people on how to work with your builder to get to the common goal. And it's going to be quite fun because we've got all builders lingo in there. So how to understand what they're saying. So how you can get on a build site and have some confidence. How to talk to an electrician. How to speak to your plumber. Because for me...
Your lecky. How to speak to your lecky. What
so
smoko means. How long you get for smoko.
Exactly. I've even got that
on the website. Dare iced coffee.
It's
they love a dare iced coffee and a durry.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, this is what a 4x2 is. They're not talking about a truck. Like, hello. That's where people just, you know, that's what all my online education courses are. Like, you've got the holiday property market, but then the homeowner market. It's all about preparing people and for them to know what I just know is, you know, everyday information, where I feel like there's such a gap in the market. And it's not that I'm trying to launch another business, but I'm just so passionate about people enjoying the process versus being like, oh my God, building and renovating, it's so stressful and it's this and it's that. It's like, you know what? Most people want to create their homes because it's their dream, it's their vision. They want to get to the end. And what I call that holiday feeling, they just want to feel calm and breathe, where so many people you talk to, they get through the building journey, not with us, but they get through the building journey and they go, oh my God, that was so stressful. I'd never do that again. Like, ugh. So they're already jaded in their homes. And it's like, well, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
So I just, it's all the resources and information I've had, you know, for the past 20 years. You know, today I needed some information about, you know, a paint product and what finish to do. So I just ring my painter. Like, I know that I'm quite blessed. You know, if I've got a question, I just ring my tradies, or I'll turn up on a job site. I'm so confident on a job site where so many females aren't, but so many males, everyone just, they're intimidated by it. So I'm like trying to take away that intimidation, give them the knowledge they need to know. And then they've got the confidence to hand over, I call it their baby, their house, to the experts to let them work their magic and all work to the common goal. So
it is so true what you just said, just then about the, you know, the females being slightly, maybe not stereotyping, but intimidating, the males being, I overcompensate. So I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I pretend and I don't want to admit it. So my partner would be like, oh, we've got to fix that. I'm like, oh, the vents. And she's like, no, the tradie said that it's the beams. I'm like, oh, don't get me started on the bloody beams. And she's like, do you know how to fix it or not? Because we can just get somebody in here. I'm like, oh, look, I know I could tackle this, but we might get a tradie in on this one.
Just this time.
And it's so true. And that leads to me, if, you know, sometimes not dropping my ego, going, case in point, I bought a painting and I was there picking it up. And they said to the both of us, they said, we offer for $100, someone will come and like hang up the painting. And because it's a fairly large painting house. And I was like, save you $100. All right. I can put up the painting. Well, I'll tell you where the painting is. The painting is on the floor.
Oh,
and there's 6 holes in my wall. And every time I walk into my bedroom, I look at those 6 holes and be like, I should have paid the $100.
You know what? My husband would have paid the $100 to do it because he hates hanging things up. I only last week did this office up in our rental house and I got someone off Airtasker to come and hang my hooks up because I was like, he was away at the snow. And I went, that's a deal breaker if the day he gets back. I ask him to hang things up. So you should have paid that. But it's exactly true. People just, they get intimidated from, you know,
100%
from further on in the building stage. But so many people, when they're building their own home, holiday property, offices, whatever it is, when a builder's giving them a quote, it's like reading another language. They really 100%. Don't understand. And then when they're trying to compare quote with quote, they don't match up. And so if people can understand more of the knowledge of what you need to know, and then also understand the lingo, so you can talk the talk, but then you can you're more confident to ask questions. So, okay, so what's this? What's that? there's just like, you know, I just feel like there's people who know what they're doing, you know, and they've been doing it and they're fine. And then you've got people who, you know, are learning to do everything themselves, and it's all DIY. And I'm not anti DIY, but I'm probably not really in that space. But there's just this belief that builders, tradies, designers, everyone's out to rip people off. And it's like, it's the complete opposite. We all, like any tradie, any builder, any designer, we all want to work to the common goal, because at the end of the day, we want our clients to be happy. And people just think, oh no, well, if I do this, oh, like my builder's ripping me off on that. It's like the complete opposite. So it's just getting people to be real. Yeah. So it's kind of like in the middle of that space. And I feel really, really passionate about it.
And I can see that. And it comes from, like you have done 20 years with BAM construction. It comes from that. And it only takes somebody to do something like, again, I'm not against the DIY space. Well, I am for me, because I will not do it myself. I will get into an argument with my partner and not do it myself. But it's doing something yourself. And I'm sure you've seen in everything you've done over the last 20 years, you make one mistake, and whatever budget, like you said, you're that sometimes dream killer. If you go to attempt to do something yourself, not only do you end up paying more money. You think you're going to pay less, but you have to start again. Yeah. And that misinformation is, you know, costing people a lot of money. So that education that you're doing is valuable for people that are wanting to start that journey. And for you, DIY over a tradie, you would always go. If you know what you're doing, you'd go with a tradie?
I think it's all about, I'm a big believer that, you know, you outsource to the experts. So if you know what you're doing, of course, do it. But I always go, what are you better off doing? Are you better off outsourcing it to someone who knows what they're doing? You know, you're going to get a quality job. You know, you've got warranty with it. And also if you're working, you can be going earning what you're the expert in the field at the same time. Or are you going to sit here, spend probably 10 times as long, you know, put more stress in your life, which is, you know, such a big thing at the moment with everyone. So I just believe that the experts are there for a reason. And like you said, they generally save you money, and people just aren't educated on it. Like, you know, I kind of contradict myself, because a designer, everyone thinks it's all about the end finish and what it's going to look like, you know, the taps and the tiles. And I'm like, no, it's all about like what's behind those walls. Because, you know, if you build a house and the frame's not right, well, you're going to have problems because your house is going to creak forever. If you build your walls and you haven't put the right insulation in, or, you know, recently I was just working with a client and I was like, you know, there's this type of plasterboard that will, you know, it's got noise dampening qualities and it's tougher. So your kids really can't, if they bang into it, you don't have to stress out. And she was like, what? Oh my God. So, you know, I'm like, you're better off to spend, you know, your extra money there and sacrifice something else, because you know what? I guarantee you'll never change what's on your walls. You will change your paint color, but are you ever going to change your walls? So that's the investment you need to spend versus, you know, what goes on. And that's the thing people wouldn't even think about, because they just don't know.
No, of course. No,
and once especially when you have little kids, right? Because I remember when my kids were little and I'd be like, get them to sleep and someone would knock on the door and you're like, no, I've just got the baby to sleep. I'm like, did you see the sign where it's like, you know, there's actually a product that can help you with this. And I'm like, God, where was this when I was when my kids were that young? But there's all those choices that don't just come down to money, but it comes down to the way that you live in your home. And that ultimately affects your lifestyle. So they're the things that, you know, I think experts can really put you in the right direction with it.
You need to, how can anybody that's about to start a project, you need to speak to every person. You're so, you're so passionate about it. Is that where you're spending most of your time at the moment? Is it this education? Is it or is it with BAM, or is it with the kids, or is it with or is
you know what? It's a real mix at the minute, because I still have client work. So at the minute, I have about 8 clients on the go, all across Australia. It is way too many clients for me at this time, but you know, again, post-COVID, everything changed. We actually just tragically lost someone. So we'd stopped work for a month, which was just, just doesn't happen in our world. So everything's caught up. So at the minute, I'm splitting my time between client work, the online education space, and setting up our latest accommodation business. So it's a shift, but that is exactly what you said. I am basically, I'm not saying I'm not doing client work, but I'm really only going to limit 2 clients a year now, because I love the online education space, and because I love that I can share what I know and what I'm passionate about en masse. Because as I said, I just like to help people, and I know when I work with clients, I just can't get to enough of them. What I've also know is for my own mental health, I have so much going on that something has to give. And so that's the shift that's going to happen. And there's just going to be more courses, more education, and more, just where I see the need is for it to come out. Like at the moment, and this is what's actually taking most of my time. If I'm
Here we go.
Here we go. So we've got our first
crochet.
I had this. I was like, "Hey Ben, imagine if we could get a sponsored video series of building our latest holiday property, and you get in front of the camera and we teach everyone." He's like, "No, because I like to talk and he doesn't like to talk." And he's like, "Yeah, no, you do it." Anyway, long story short, he did get in front of the camera. His nickname is now #CameraShyBuilder. So he looks so he doesn't look like his ego. No, it's like any husband and wife, where I'm like,
and he's like, I'll go start it. You tell me what to do. I'll go start it. Yeah.
Exactly. But so we've got, so our latest holiday property business is called The Pause, which I saw the video. Yeah, it looks unreal. I think I was ahead of my time though, because I named it The Pause, and then we all ended up in the pause.
Oh my goodness.
So we ended up building the pause in the pause. And I was like, I think I've jinxed the whole world. I was going, no,
it's a good thing.
Exactly.
No, it's so good. And what is the pause? So tell me what is the pause? Why the pause? Is it to pause and then renovate? Or, sorry.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Take that many questions.
It's too much.
Coming off the back of our last property, Soule Home, so that is the one that's about to be sold. We subdivided there, so we still had a block of land, and we were like, do we develop? Do we go back to our, put a duplex, some townhouses on, or how about we set up another holiday property, because we know what we're doing now as well. Soule was so successful, and also I learned so much, from when I started to now. So we're like, let's just do it again, and let's get video cameras to follow us around and do the whole thing. So that was,
because we've got time. We
have so much time, so much. But so the Pause is another holiday property business, and the concept is the Pause is a place where you come to step away from your everyday. So it's a place where you just can come and you just breathe out. And so the whole property has been built, designed, spatial planning, that it's very minimalist, because I just want people to get there and just breathe and just feel really calm. It's a mix of, I say we set out to create our own unique take on an Australian coastal home. So it's not Hamptons, it's not Balinese, it's our own take. So there's inspiration from the Bahamas, classic Singaporean, touch of Bali, like the Bali Villa, but all in a way that suits the New South Wales South Coast. But also, the reason we did that is, again, to share the property, because we're so passionate about people experiencing that feeling, be able to have a break. We also want to be able to go there and enjoy it, because now we're living back in Sydney. We want to still go down there. But also, ultimately for us, when we set up holiday properties, it's creating a business, and then that business is creating ourselves a lifestyle that we don't need a holiday from, because it's not as much as we love client work, that's trading time for money. We love developing, but also I hate the word passive income, because it's not passive, but it's another strain of income. And if you set up a holiday property business the way that I teach you, then it's really profitable. And so for us, that property will then allow us to buy another one, and it will just kind of go on and on. No, don't tell them. No, they're all holiday properties, so that's fine. But for us, setting up the Pause, it brings in that other income. We can share what we do with other people. The purpose of the online series was really again, I knew that if I created this, I can share a bit of the magic of what we do, but the series has been created to show the real side of building, not like, oh, here you go, and then here's all the pretty picture at the end, because there's so many reality shows, you know, YouTube clips where it's all like, oh, here you go, it's really easy, and then
done in an instant,
all the beautiful pictures, and I'm like, no, that sets people up to fail. So you see, you know, like you see what happens in it, and that's again the beauty for me to be able to share it with everyone. So
and then going through that process. So that's been filmed, the pause?
It's already been filmed. So it actually was all filmed during COVID. So, it was like, let's social distance and film at the same time. And
whilst we're distancing, just 2 meters away, pick up a camera and I'm going to show people how to create that.
Pretty much. It's also pretty like a real time too, because at that point it didn't look that pretty for us because our accommodation business closed down. So we get, you know, straight away lost all that income bookings. All our build clients, they all, excuse the pun, but they paused their jobs. So Ben overnight had no work. Wow. Then we had a mortgage on our holiday property business with no income coming in. We now find ourselves building our next holiday property with zero income coming in.
Wow.
And we were like, holy shit, like just, you know, which way we're going to go with this. But, you know, we've always prepared ourselves, you know, for worst case scenario. And that was worst case scenario. But I was also really, again, I don't like to say that I can, you know, predict things, but I said at the beginning when the accommodation closed down, I said, you know what, this is going to be the best industry to be in because domestic tourism is going to go through the roof. So I have this community of like hundreds and hundreds of holiday property owners from across the world who all do my course, and then we come into this community, and they were all down and out. And I was like, no, like guys, you've got to like bunker down, you know, it's going to get hard before it gets like easier. But I just knew that there was going to be a positive lining for our industry. It's not for all industries, but for accommodation and building, it was. And then what happened in the meantime, everyone's in their houses and absolutely is like, oh my God, I hate this. I want to do that. So design work went through the roof.
Yeah.
So I had actually made the decision back in January that I was no longer going to take on any more clients. So I had my 2 clients and I was wrapping it up. Hence, then we had no other income coming in, but I had all the work. So I went, okay, I've got to take one for the team, and took on all that design work. So it was interesting, but I'm like, we've come out the other side of it. And I just knew it was all going to be okay. And that's like, you know, now we find even with our online series, and we've got like, you know, Australian, you know, biggest building brands as our sponsors. We've got Gyprock, we've got Stegma, Luxaflex. And they believed in us and kind of took a chance because, you know, who are these people? They knew we could create properties, but they never worked with us. And I went, oh, they got gold because they didn't just land in the building industry. They're now in the domestic tourism industry, and they've connected the 2 industries. So I went, oh, predicted that one too. but it's,
I got a partnership for you guys? Where do we start?
Exactly. But you know what? That's why I just go to people, like, no matter what it is, you know, no one predicted COVID-19.
No, of course.
If I put that back into like a building world of people renovating, and, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, it's so stressful, it's this and it's that. But it's like, if you know what's going to happen, like, you know, in the series I talk about, oh my God, it's overwhelming because everything's coming at me, boom, boom, boom. But if you know that's coming, and then you know what's going to come after that, the result of this magical home and what you've been dreamt about, then it's all a process. So I'm a big believer that after the storm, then that's when the magic happens.
Comes the rainbow? Is that the same?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know if I sit still enough to see the rainbow.
No, you're the only person that I've heard goes, oh, so I was running a really successful business in Sydney. So I moved to Gerringong and started another business. And then started another business. It's all ongoing.
Crazy. That's why I always say to people, listen to what I say. Like, you know, I've got a lot of education on, you know, everything I do, but don't necessarily like go do 4 businesses. I don't know if I recommend that. Or, you know, maybe the 4 children, but hey, depends what day you ask me.
That's video number 1. It's, I'm going to teach you how to have 4 kids and 4 businesses. And this is how you do it.
I don't know if anyone will ever buy a parenting course from me. Like, hey, move your children this how many houses. And you know what? They're going to be resilient. They're going to be this. I think I'll have 0 sales.
Or you should start the video by saying, by the end of this video, you're going to have 4 businesses and 4 kids. Now stick with me.
They'll be like, I'm out. There's the exit. Yeah.
How are you finding that's that holiday space at the moment? Obviously, like you said, you've got a big network, a big community of people. I know from everybody sitting in the house going stir crazy. Have you already seen it, or are you starting to see people back out holidaying again now?
It's crazy. It is through the roof, but it's not now. What happened, and again, this is because I had a brand. So I teach people when setting up holiday properties, don't just set up a property and wait for people to come to you. You need to go and find your market, bring them to you, and create a brand. Right. So what happened was, even before the restrictions were eased, it was like this light bulb went off in people's heads about 2 weeks before. So we heard crickets, and then all of a sudden the phones were going crazy, and we were getting bookings left, right, and center. And it was all from people who usually travel overseas, because they'd gone, we're not going to go overseas on our holidays. Yeah, exactly. Quick, let's all scramble. And they were getting ahead of what they thought was going to happen. The restrictions were going to get eased. So we had people booking who were like, so we need to book because we have a big group and we're going to Italy and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, and they book and then they go, so where's Gerringong? And I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so it's actually, so it actually opened up this whole new market of people who usually would go overseas and to resorts, and even people who travel domestically. They're not really wanting to go to hotels and resorts because they don't want to go into the communal lobby spaces. And to them, holiday properties, like the cleanliness standards are so high, they kind of feel a little bit safer. But as far as the bookings, it has not stopped. Like, we've always been booked out, but it's just every single day. Like, it's crazy. Like, the people who bought our solar Gerringong business, basically, they're like, the price they paid for the actual business, they've paid for it twice over in bookings that they're getting going forward. It is crazy. Like, and we haven't officially opened the pause for bookings yet, and it's meant to be open, but I went, you know what? Let's wait till the end of the series. And also because there's pretty much no accommodation available in New South Wales from October till the end of February. Wow. But I've now got this new product and people need to go somewhere. So I've kind of, again, positioned myself in a place with this new accommodation business where I know that when I open up that day for booking, I'm not going to say, yes, I'm going to book out, 12 months in advance. But I'm really confident because the wait list is huge. And that's why I went, actually, this is perfect timing again.
You build up the hype. Yeah, build up that hype.
Yeah. So people are going to watch this sponsored series of ours, and, people are seeing little snippets of it, and they're already wanting to book without knowing what it's about. So, bookings are crazy.
So and like you said, because nobody can travel overseas. We don't know how long that's going to be for. Yeah. People love, and especially COVID, we're not seeing as a break. I know for me, I haven't stopped. So people are just longing just to get out of the house and away from where they are and go get into that slice of paradise.
Go and have a pause.
Yeah, go and have a pause. Video series streaming soon, guys, so stay tuned. What would you say, so for people that are listening, that what is your market? Are you looking for people that have a unique property, that don't know that they've got a unique property that they can use to then use a holiday home? Can you do it with your standard 4x2? What is the market, and what so the people that are looking that can learn from your education?
There's really 3 different kind of markets. There's people who already have existing holiday properties, but they're not seeing the return on them, or they've just they've kind of just left it and waiting for people to come find them. And the holiday properties where you go and it looks like nothing's been touched for 20 years. Yes. And that's not cool, because that's not a business, and that's not even pre-COVID and now post-COVID, people expect the highest level.
For sure.
And So it's teaching people who've already got a property how they can turn it into a successful business versus just a property on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's for people who they want to go out and buy a property. They want to create a lifestyle. They want to get this other business on the side. Like there's a lot of people who've gone and bought holiday properties, setting them up as business and being able to give up their day job because they no longer want to do that.
Wow.
So that's the second market. And then there's people who want to use their own home as an accommodation business. Okay. That's probably the minimal market, because I believe when it's a business, it's not just like an on the side thing. I approach holiday properties as it's like I approach it as I would any other business. So it's there, and you know, our forever home that we're going to be creating, watch out for the series. We're actually setting it up so it will be our forever home, but in the location it is and the style it is, I'm going to purposely be the floor plan. So when, you know, 6 weeks at Christmas time, we're going to rent our house out because it's going to pay for me to go on holidays. And that gives me a lifestyle. So there's kind of 3 different markets that come to it. So that's what the course or the online course covers, because it's not designed, you get 8 modules, but it's not designed that everyone has to jump into module 1 because people already got their property. They don't need to do that. So it's really across the board, because there's, you know, again, like building and design, there's not one model fits all.
One size fits all, yeah.
Yeah, instead you've got to learn where you fit in and what your priorities are, what your target market is and what your budget is. Because I also say to people look at my property and go, or Soule, go, oh my God, but it's, you know, you've put so much money into it and I can't do that. And I said, no, that is my property and that is my target market, and I grab that corporate market. You know, like we have the likes of Red Bull and ANZ, and like they're our customers. That's where huge. I'm like, you know, one of the next ones we're going to do, it's going to be a tiny shack, and it's like low budget, because some of the best holiday properties I've been to are like
100%,
you know, so remote, and you know, less is more. So I'm like, it's
disconnect.
not that I'm the complete opposite. And I say to people, you don't follow my model on Solar Gerringong. You follow the information and how you can create it. It's just like when, again, back to the building industry, you know, I'm a big believer of, you know, people come to me and go, oh my God, I love your property. I want you to build it for me. I'm like, no, it's not going to work for you. And I'll be
over in a sec.
I'm like, let's take a bit of inspiration from it. And what is it that you love about it? But then we need to go and create your own unique home. So it's the same in the holiday property market. You need to know who your target market is, make sure your property ticks that box, and then be like, hello, come and find me. And that's like
it's so important. You're not creating a cookie cutter model and go, if everybody designs the beach shack, if you're in Kalgoorlie, if you're in Dubbo, come sit in my beach shack. It's like working with what you've got
100%.
And making it unique so that people are attracted to your, which is huge, because not only is it fun and you're also getting to live in that, you're constantly living on a holiday. I mean,
but that's what it is. And that's like, you know, at the moment, and that's kind of why I'm reducing the amount of businesses, but I'm also about to scale, you know, Soule Home, because ultimately I want a lifestyle that I don't need a holiday from. And that is also what I want to inspire other people to do, because it is possible. Like, it's just about, you know, making the right choices, being educated, and know which direction you want to go. For me and my family and the industries we're in and the experience we have, houses and properties always been our vehicle to get ourselves ahead, because we were not the type of people that, you know, I hate the saying that we started from nothing, but we started from nothing, and we literally have moved and built up and, you know, been able to develop and make businesses and sell properties to get where we are, because I love holidays and I love traveling. So when we first, you know, when Ben and I first got out of it. And when Ben and I first got together, we were like, so what do you want out of life? What do you want out of life? And I'm like, you know what? I just want to travel because I love holidays. I want to work in something that I really love doing. And I love houses. So I was like, imagine if like, and I remember back then going, so I just want all those 3 things, like as if, haha, yeah, right. And you sometimes have to stop to go, oh my goodness, we actually have achieved it. Like, yeah, it's not like, it's not roses, like everything's not like, oh, but we've actually achieved what we set out to do. And so now I feel like if I can do that, then so many other people can hopefully be inspired by it, and they can go off on their own unique journeys.
That's so amazing. And so you're working with everybody individually to help them to be able to achieve, build, and not only for their own gain, but then for their own financial benefit to make money from as well.
100%, because that's the thing that so many people in my HPO guide, right at the beginning, I say, you've got to get real. Okay, is this a holiday property for you to enjoy, and it's all about you, and just rent out on the side? Because that is a completely different model. So you're going to learn from my guide, but really that's all about you. So you're going to make it everything you like, everything you love, and you don't care about your target market. Where I'm like, no, it's all about your target market. So people, again, with Solar Jerry go, oh my God, I love it. Like, your style's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it's real. Like, I love Soul, but actually that's not my style. It's not me at all, because I created a property that I knew that my target market would like.
That space.
I knew that it was the target market needed for the area. It's the complete opposite what I would want in my own home. But that's the thing where you have to remove yourself from it, because that's what so many people do. They go, I'm just going to buy a holiday property and do this, and if I love it, everyone else will love it. And it's like, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't. It's like, because then you feel like you're living in someone's house, and you're like, oh, there's photos of Uncle Bob on the wall, and this, and there's drawings, and you're like, that doesn't give you the holiday feeling like you would, if you're over in Bali in a resort somewhere. That's the same. If that's your target market you bring in, you want them to be at home in your home.
Yeah, unless you're in a little restaurant in Berlin where they have it, I think it's called Mother's Eyes. And as you're eating, so when you book, you reserve to come, and they ask you to bring in a photo of your mother.
Yeah.
And what they do is they frame it. And so you're not there looking at your mother, but on all the walls is just photos of all mothers looking at you while you're eating.
Oh my God.
I think it's called Eyes of Mothers. And yeah, we all bought in photos, but and then they frame them and they put them up. And so whilst you're eating,
they're all watching you. But how cool is that? Because that is such a marketing branding activity, because I bet you go to that restaurant because you got all these eyes. And
the
that's
food
their
was
way
horrible,
to bring it in.
But our mothers were looking at
it. Exactly. That's it.
No, the food was great, but we didn't know whether it was Italian, if it was fish and chip.
But you were just going because you need to take the eye.
We wanted to get the eyes of mothers on, and it's so true.
Yeah.
We heard it from a friend of a friend who had told us nothing about the food. He just said, you've got to go there for this experience of these photos. And it's like with what you're teaching people. And I mean, it's not something that you think about. You just think about, okay, I'm in the middle of, country Australia, so to speak. Let me build a nice beach shack. Everybody loves the beach shack. Yeah. And then people that are in that area, and people that are traveling or people that are coming through, they want to feel the area.
Yes.
They want to feel that country outback. Would that be your biggest piece of advice? Would be, well, actually, I won't phrase it that way. What is your biggest piece of advice when somebody's looking to get into that holiday homeowner space?
Can I have two? I always want to. I always go, come on, give me two.
1.5. No, I'll give you two.
I'll combine them. The first one is, you have to really get real if this is the right industry for you, because it's very rewarding, but it's also got a lot of hard work. So you need to be prepared to either do it yourself, or you need to have a team around you, like meaning cleaners, laundromat, your person who's going to do your bookings, you're basically the CEO, the admin, the marketing, everything. So you've got to be real if it's for you. If it is, amazing. If not, just be real with it. Because I feel like a lot of industries, it's just all, here you go, this is what's great. And then you get into it and you're like, what have I done?
You've got to dive in.
Yeah, but you've got to dive in knowing if it's right for you first. So that's number one. And then the second one is exactly what you said. Know your target market, understand them, study them, research them, and then create everything for them. Like literally remove yourself from this.
So important. Like when what is it, like Gordon Ramsay's kitchen? when he's trying to give advice and he's trying to say, this is what people want, this is what you should cook. And they're going, yeah, I know, but I really like the purple drapes.
It's like, no, they've got to go. Yeah.
They've got to go. You've got to find out what people want
yeah.
in that area, and you've got to create it to suit.
And it's the same even in people's homes though, like what I said before, when it's like, I want this in my home, and it's like, no, you want to feel like, and this is what I always say to people when they come to my properties, you want to feel what you're feeling right now, because, you know, without, you know, singing my praises, but that's what I know I can do. I make people feel amazing in their homes, if it's mine, if it's clients. So I'm like, you are in love with the feeling. It's not necessarily ticking all your boxes. Yes. So you need to, in that way, remove yourself from what you're inspired by and make sure you get, you know, you take the elements out of it and create your own. So it's kind of like the same but opposite with it.
I completely agree. And you know what, not to give you a shameless plug, but I will. Instead of not knowing where to start or going halfway through and making mistakes, if there was only somebody that created education online. So
gee, where could you find them? I'll pay you later for that one.
No, but I just love that the story, it came from such an organic place where you're just like, oh, there's just, and you're right. Like you've been saying stuff tonight where I'm like, oh gosh, I do that all the time. Whenever tradies are involved, and then, you know, my partner sit there going, not wanting to say something, and me going like, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, mate. And it's so funny that you can come to yourself to, and I think that's a great place for people to start, whether you're thinking about it. And is that what a lot of your course is? Is it's also giving education for people that are thinking about it or haven't necessarily, they haven't necessarily started it?
Because I think so many people jump in to building, renovating houses and don't know what to expect. They're just like, I want the end result, but they're not prepared for what's in between. So a lot of people, you know, will ring me up and like, help, I don't know what's going on. And I'm usually like, you know what? That's normal. That's actually normal. You know, that's the process. You know, your taps are out of stock for 6 months. Oh my God, your whole design's ruined. And it's like, you know what? It's actually not. Like I always go, like Ben always says, there's no problems. There's only solutions.
I love that.
And that's the only thing that you can do with building, design and renovating. So, and then other people be like, oh my God, my builder's ripping me off. He's like, you know, sending me all these variations. And it's like, but did you sign off on them when at the beginning it was all roses and magic? And then now you've got to the end of the build and, you know, you're $100,000 over because you've been, yes, I can do this and this and this and this. And then they're like, but it's not fair. Like, I don't want to pay for it. And then I go, but you know what? Your builder he's got a mortgage probably on his home and his life. And he's been there doing the changes. He's paying that out of his. So, you know, and that's where I go, if you know all this at the beginning, you know, I always say to people as well that if you, along the way when you're building, so roughly, okay, let's just say you got a $500,000 fixed cost contract and along the way, then you're going to add things, variations. If you want to come in on budget, if you go and go, oh, I now want to have, you know, I want you to put in these skylights because there's not enough natural light in here. Yeah, it's amazing. You sign off whatever the cost is. Let's go, it's $5,000. Side note, people go, what? 5,000? Because they see that the cost is 2,500 to buy. You're like, it's more to install. Like, come on. Yeah. But then I go, if you've put $5,000 in along the way, what are you prepared to take out? So this is what we do when we build and design. So it's like,
amazing.
You want to spend 500,000? We can sign off all these variations. That's fine, as long as you know they're going to cost. Or what do you want to take out? And that is amazing. A very good way for people to think about. It's probably my biggest, you know, bit of advice with building is do it, but are you really willing to sacrifice something else?
What's the compromise?
Not, then no, that's what you're going to extend your budget by, because along the way, it's really easy on a site. And when you're overwhelmed or you're like, it just has to be perfect world at that time, at the end of it, if you go, oh my God, I've spent like, you know, $50,000 more. And now you're like, oh, I didn't need to do that. Where when you get back to a monetary value at that moment, then people question it. It's like if you're in a restaurant and you're expecting, you know, you're going to, I don't know, like just an average restaurant, and you get there and the meals are like $100 what you'd expect at a 5-star restaurant, you're going to go, whoa, okay, let's share a main meal. Let's, come on.
Yeah.
Because
tap water, please. Tap water.
Exactly. So you're expecting to go in there, I don't know, walk out with $100 bill, or are you happy to walk away with $500 bill? So, people just have to get real with it, because it's always like, I don't know, there's just the blame goes in the wrong direction. There needs to be ownership, but more than that, this is where my online education comes in. If you understand it and you have these little things along the way and go, that's right, that girl from Soule Home said, what am I willing to sacrifice? And then at the end of the day, we all become dream makers versus dream killers.
I love that.
And that's what I think when people, in your homes, and again, I'm like passionate that houses don't need to be big. They don't need to be grand. You can pull off a high-end look at a really affordable price, but ultimately you want a lifestyle that you're not going to be, this huge mortgage and debt, and you're sitting there in this amazing house going, this is like, get me out of here. That's too much, because you see it all the time, and it's like, why? Like, yes.
They get caught up in the motions.
Yes, and it's like, you just don't need it. So it's about getting real with what you want. Like, yes, we've had big mortgages and debts and pay them off. So that's okay if you know what you're doing. But so often people are trying to keep up with the Joneses and like, I need to have a big house. Or, my thing I always say to people, don't have all these extra living areas in your homes, because now, like if I think back to what was our first forever home, we had our main living area, a rumpus room and a toy room. And now I look back and go, yeah, that actually suited that time. But now with technology, and obviously my children are getting older too, we spend so much more time in our bedrooms, kids do.
Yeah.
Because everything's at your fingertips. When we were kids, you were out and about. So now you don't, and we are all using so much time on tech, which, I hate, but also it's just part of our life. So when we are together, let's have one living space. Yeah. Like I'm a big fan of open plan kitchen, living, dining, because when we all are together, let's come together versus being together. Yeah. So I'm actually, I believe that for most people, coming back to smaller houses is going to start to, trend going forward, and because it's the way we live. So
not stretching and extending yourself where you don't have to. A lot of people do that. We speak to people, thousands of people every single week, every single month about, talking about what properties they want to get into. And everybody always starts off with going, I want the 4x2. Yeah. And so we send them a ute. And then after asking one or two questions, it's like, well, maybe we don't need that fourth bed. I know for me, I have 4 bedrooms and 3 have got junk in it, and then I sleep in one. Yeah. And very quickly, you just fill up those rooms with junk and things.
You might fill them up with children.
Yes. Well, if I watch your education after the first video, 4 businesses for the
kids. Keep one spare.
I love it. Simone Mathews, you're an absolute powerhouse, and I want to thank you so much for coming on. I think it's great for what you're doing, and for anybody that's looking to start, like you said, that it's going to save you so much money. Or you could go through your education and go, I'm not ready to commit right now. And I think either way, whether you come out of it pursuing a career and living a life where you're always on holiday. I think I'm going to subscribe and so I can take a look. Or you're going to come out on the other side and go like, maybe not right now. I think it's just so valuable what you're doing. I think the word that you keep saying over and over again is, I can just see how passionate you are. Yeah, and it's so great to speak to somebody that's so passionate. Would love to do a follow-up in a couple of months and check in and see how you are and get some more tips and advice and see what crazy things you're up to. We're going to go look at, we end up having a 5th kid and a 5th business.
No, trust me. I've made measures. There's no 5th child coming. No, I don't know about the house or the business. There's no safety net there, but no children. But no, thank you for having me and listening. It's been really a great chat. And,
it's been great. Thanks so much for giving us some tips, and we'll speak to you very soon.
All right. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.